Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, where we will bring you candid conversation. In each conversation, we will talk about real life ups and downs while tackling unresolved matters. We will also unmask issues and truly speak straightforward and candid about our needs and brokenness, while allowing ourselves to exhale so that we can become victorious. This is a place where you can be open to the possibilities of living life in abundance while gaining tools to become bold and complete. So let's get to it. Welcome, listeners, and I would like to introduce my special guest, my husband, Lawrence Carter. On this candid conversation today, your past is not your present. Mr. Carter, your past is not your present.
Okay.
Wouldn't you say that?
I would say that.
Okay, then. Well, tell the people a little bit about yourself before we start this candid conversation.
Okay. I'm the husband of your host, Val, of over 40-some-odd years.
I thank you so much for taking time off your job to come in and record this podcast.
Okay.
As always, you're always supporting all the endeavors that God pour into me and some that I create for myself. So, again, thank you. I'm just going to hit you with it. Why is it important for people to understand that their past does not define them?
Why is it important?
For people to understand that their past does not define them.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to take that page out of Stephen. I'm glad you asked that question.
Okay.
It is very important on my behalf, I believe, because my past personally happened to not be as glamorous as my present. Having said that, I would hate to be in the same place where I was in the past versus where I'm at in the present. When you're young, you tend not to do things that you would not. When you get older, you don't do anymore. When you're a child, you do childish things.
So you tend to try everything. You think everything is okay.
Yeah, you're invincible. You know, you can jump off mountains and jump off houses and jump out of trees.
Okay.
Go on the swing and swing high as you can and jump out of the swing. All that kind of stuff. And then you're trying drugs and alcohol and sleeping with as many women as you want to sleep with as you can. You know, all these different things as a young man that you know, when you get older, you're glad that you're not that same person, that you have evolved. That's what calling not being defined
by your past.
You know, my present is very peaceable, enjoyable, loving, and my past was not
so peaceful.
So.
Okay, so can you answer this question for me? You mentioned drugs, drinking, messing around with different women, and do you think that all kind of came about because of the era that you came up in, or just kind of hanging out with the crew that you hung out with, or just, you know, is that just being a young man?
Combination of all things, all the above. It comes from your upbringing. I was raised around a lot of men in my family. We have more men than women in our family, so that's what we did as young men. Mimicked a lot of the things that you know carried on in our youth. You know, the seeds that were planted, the visions that were there. That's
so things basically that you saw.
Yeah.
Is that you saw that to be the way that a man's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're going to come back, and I appreciate, you know, I always know that whenever I'm talking to you, whether we're on camera or whatever's going on, you're going to always give me the truth. And sometimes the truth doesn't always feel good, but it's the truth. And I appreciate that about you, and I know that our listeners are going to appreciate that. So we're going to dig a little deeper. You mentioned drugs.
So this interview is about me?
Yes, I'm the host. We're going to stay over here.
Okay.
I'm asking the questions today.
Okay.
Okay, your past is your presence, right? Y'all see candid conversation even on the podcast. Okay.
Okay, this a setup. I didn't know that. But
Well,
anywho, let's roll with it.
Okay, so you mentioned on there that you did drugs, or did you start off with drugs or did you start off with drinking? And what age was that when you did the first thing?
Oh, yeah. Drinking was just a way of life. I believe it was something in the bottle when I was coming up as a kid.
You mean in your baby bottle?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I believe
So you was a crier, so your mama had to figure out something to shut you up.
Well, my family was a party family. They got together often.
Often.
Yes, they got together often, and there was often, something to drink around the place. And as I grew up, we learned to just know how to go. Lawson, go get me a beer out of there. Yes, sir, will do. And I'll get you a beer, but I'll get me one too.
Okay, so that started early on.
Yes,
Okay. Then from there, how old would you say you were when you went and got the first one and tasted your first beer?
About 3, 4, 5, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was always something there in your system that shouldn't have been there, but it was there.
It was there.
Okay. So fast forward 3 or 4, you weren't in school yet.
Right.
You were just kind of hanging out. When you went to school, how was that experience? Is that when you started? I'm just trying to understand and fast forward a little.
Fast forward, smoking marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it, weed, that came along around the 7th grade. When I was in the 7th grade, we started tampering with the weed and stuff like that.
So you was already you was drinking then, and now you're smoking.
Yeah, now we're smoking.
Okay, and you did that with family, or you did that with friends?
No, with friends.
Okay.
Growing up with friends and neighborhood, this neighborhood thing that we do, so.
Okay. Okay, wow. Okay, so do you think at that point, just your environment and kind of hanging out with your friends, do you think that was a positive influence or a negative influence at the time?
I think it was a necessary influence at the time, because had not been for my past, I don't know if I have the future that I have today.
Okay.
So I think we all have to go through some things in life to get us
to understand
to
and
another
appreciate
place in
where
life.
we are.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to turn this a little different. As you know, our team always come up with some very creative questions that they would love for me to ask our guests. Mm-hmm. And one in particular is on here. As a former drug addict, what do you believe is the most difficult part of not letting your past define you?
Kind of difficult question for me.
Okay, well,
give me an example.
Okay, for instance, I'll just put myself out there. Being a victim of being raped.
Okay.
I could have stayed in this victim mentality, or stayed in that space of someone abusing me, or always walking around as if I am a victim. Or I chose to say, okay, yes, that happened to me, but I'm not going to stay in that broken place. Yes, it was a process to get out of that. Yes, it was a mindset that I had to, and there was a lot of love that I had to have to get out of that space, but I didn't stay there. So as a drug addict, a former drug addict, because that's a former drug addict, what do you believe was the most difficult part of letting that piece go, letting the drugs go?
Yeah, letting it go, okay. As a former crackhead, anybody that ever experienced smoking crack cocaine would know that is a mountain to climb to stop. Once you taste crack cocaine the first time, it is a drug that you're forever. It's a high that you're forever chasing. And many that are still on crack cocaine that are my age, still chasing that first high from way back in 1986, 87 or whatever when it started. So that was a huge hurdle to climb, to just deny doing crack cocaine.
How did you not allow that to define you? I mean, what changed it? What made you say enough is enough?
Well, back in 1989, I was hanging with some folks. This guy I knew that he won a settlement, and he had over $160,000 at the time, and I hung with him quite a bit, and it was just smoke all day, all night, and I guess after about 2 weeks of that, I went to my mama and I told her I'm tired of this. Take me to the VA hospital so I can get some help, because this is not working for me. And I knew deep down that wasn't gonna be my life, And thank God, during that process, I met the Lord again as an adult. I was raised up in the church, as you know, and I kind of swayed, should I say, away from that, being on crack cocaine, because you're actually dancing with the devil.
Yeah, that become your God.
Yeah, you're dancing with the devil right now. And so I did have another encounter after getting off crack cocaine. Went through rehab for about 45 days and went into a halfway house and began to read my Bible and start learning the things of God and start placing those seeds in my existence, in my heart, in my mind and soul. And that gave me the ability and the strength to be able to not let the past keep a hold of me, should I say?
Okay.
And so yes, through much prayer, through much meditation, through much reading of the Bible, I was able to, through the help of the Lord, overcome.
Let me ask a
being
question.
a victim of crack cocaine.
Okay, I appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for being so candid and honest about that. Do you think going through that journey, did you lose a lot? Because I heard you say that you were married to your beautiful wife for, we have been together 40-something years. So if I count up that time,
You was somewhere in the midst of that.
I was somewhere in the midst of that. Our children were somewhere in the midst of that. Let's talk about that. Did you lose anything? Did you even consider your family, or do they consider their family when they're going through that?
Yes, I did, but no, I didn't at the same time.
Okay.
Because I continue. If you're out there listening and you struggling with drug addiction, especially crack cocaine, it's a drug that will take you away from anything and everything that you love and believe. It'll make you love only it. Like I say, we was married during some of these struggles in my time, and I recall working for a plant back in the days, and I was back in the 80s, and I was bringing home almost $800 a week, and I would consciously separate my money, the light bill, the rent, and the waters. And I would have it in the different pockets and all this kind of stuff. And this is all I'm going to use to smoke. It don't work that way. Yeah. You use your money to smoke.
Then you're going to go here.
And then you say, well, I can just get a little bit out of the light bill. That ain't going to hurt nothing. The next thing you know, you got all the light bill. Next thing you know, it was a whole weekend went by. And all your substance are gone. And we repeated that week in and week out for several weeks, a couple of weeks till Val got tired of it, and I came to the apartment, and all my clothes were down on the ground.
In a trash bag. At least I
Trash
had a neat.
Yeah, some of it was in the trash bag, some of it was spread out over the courtyard.
Okay.
So, anywho, that was another thing that pointed to me knowing that I need to make a decision to
Do better.
yeah.
Do you think that during this time, when a person, and I appreciate you being honest, because we're not just talking about you and your experience, we're also talking about people that are going through this. Do you think
Right.
at that time that you're even conscious that it's affecting your children?
No. At the time, you're never conscious of the true effect it's having on the people that love you, the people you love. You're not thinking about it. You can't think of it. All you can think of is the high,
Okay.
and you're totally removed.
We're going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
The Love and Victory Show with Val is brought to you by L&V Enterprise Resources Incorporated, a nonprofit equal opportunity provider for people living with disabilities. When you donate to L&V Enterprise Resources Incorporated, not only are you helping someone further their education, acquire job skills, and find a job, you are also doing your part to create a stronger, more diverse, and inclusive society. L&V also provides resources for counseling for the disabled and their families. To find out more, or if you'd like to make a donation, please visit lverinc.com or call 832-336-0126. Once again, that's lverinc.com or 832-336-0126. With L&V Enterprise Resources Incorporated, the possibilities are endless. Let's explore them together. VK Consultant Group is a proud sponsor of the Love and Victory Show with Val. Are you thinking of starting a medical practice and need some help? Well, VK Consultant Group has been awarded Top Medical Practice Consultant Service of 2020. For over 3 decades, they've offered services like concierge medicine, credentialing, billing, revenue cycle management, and so much more. For more information, visit vkconsultantgroup.com or call 713-893-7401. Once again, that's vkconsultantgroup.com or 713-893-7401. VK Consultant Group, your competitive edge.
Reflecting back, you said that you went through, you told your mom you were tired and you went through the VA and you went through the rehab, and then from there, there was a transition. How did you work toward, how did you get your family back? What is that process like for someone that has lost everything, basically? What was that like? Or what could that be like? Because for someone that is facing that right now, was that an easy road, or what is that road like?
No, that road is forgiveness of yourself, forgiving yourself, redeeming from all the hurt and harm you've caused. It's a process.
Okay.
It's a process, and it takes time. It's nothing that's gonna happen overnight. You just don't get off all the hurt and pain that you caused someone with a box of chocolate and some roses and say, "Forgive me.
I'm back."
You know, I'm back. Yeah, it don't work that easy. It don't work that way.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a process that has to go over time. The trust has to be rebuilt. The confidence has to be rebuilt.
So in other words, is it safe to say that it's a process that not only you have to get back to a safe place and a safe feeling, so are the people that you harm. They need to feel safe with you. Okay, I would agree with you on that. And I'm this is actually good to hear, because a lot of times, and there was a long road, being candid here, for even though we were back together, I didn't feel safe. And so even though we said I love you, which I did, there was never any question. The love was always there, but I didn't feel safe.
Yeah. And let me pause you right there, because just because you went to rehab and got off the drug don't mean that the enticement not gonna come back to you ever again. Because I've had relapses throughout this process, you know, and those are still struggles that you have to deal with as an individual, and something that your family and the people that you love and
that you hurt,
your home that you build, that's something that has to be rebuilt every time you have a relapse or fallback. You know, it don't just affect you; it affects everyone in your life, from your grandparents to your moms and your dads and your wives and your children and your cousins and your uncles, and everybody's affected.
Well, I appreciate that. And now we're going to talk about the person you are today. And we're not going to talk about regrets, because had we not went through what we went through, you could not, I would believe you couldn't be this man that you are today. But that's just me saying, do you have regrets?
Regrets, like I stated earlier, I think most of the things that we as individuals go through as younger people is a necessary tool sometimes to build character, to build you as an individual, whether you're a man or a woman. You know, it's a necessary tool. A lot of time we don't have to go down to the pits, should I say, to get where we need to get in life.
If we just listen.
Yeah. Some of us just have to just go to the pits, you know, and I happen to be one of those individuals that did that, and thank God he was able to bring me up out of that pit, and, you know, and not stay in there.
So you're safe to say that with that, if there was any regret.
Lost time.
Okay.
Lost time.
I think that's a good way. And then what is the biggest reminder that you are no longer that person?
The biggest reminder? Stability, responsibility, reliability.
Sitting here today.
Yeah, it's just being mature, spiritually mature is the biggest reminder that I am not that individual. There are a host of things the devil can throw at me today that wouldn't sway me the way it did before I did my spiritual.
Okay. And our last question, what advice do you have for someone struggling with leaving their past behind?
Man, just look at your future. If you allow your past to continue to hinder you, you'll never go forward. There's no room for you to grow. I mean, you
kind of like looking in the mirror, or looking in the window from behind.
It's like trying to go. It's like being on a what do you call that thing? You walk treadmill. You're going, but you're not going anywhere. You just going, but you're not going anywhere. So my advice would be to leave the past behind the best you can. If you know, everybody been damaged. Everybody had something that they went through in life. There's no one exempt from that. And the best thing I can tell you to do is to first forgive yourself. Second, put faith in God more than yourself. And third, let's start moving forward. Start seeing some brighter days. Start looking ahead to something.
So would it help? Is it safe to say, change your surroundings, start being around, doing things positive, having people in your circle that is going to encourage you and pull you forward?
Well, not necessarily, because it really starts with you, your mental state. You know? I always talk to drug addicts and people, you know, my family that on drugs and stuff like that. You know, I can put you on an airplane and send you to Uganda, Africa somewhere, and with your mindset the way it is, you're gonna end up finding the same people that you were here with in Houston. So first it got to start with the renewing of your mind. You have to change your mindset. You got to start looking forward to seeing something better than what's behind you. And then once you can start doing that,
Then the change.
yeah, it don't matter where you are in the world. You
Okay,
know, it
I
doesn't
like
matter
that.
where you are. You just have to. You can be around the same dope fiends, the same women that you used to chase, the same, person that abused you. That person can be sitting on the platform with you. Mm-hmm. But if you change your mind and forgive and let go and let God, those things won't hold you back and hold you down.
Okay.
You can press forward if you
Brother
change
Carter,
your mind.
Mr. Carter, my husband, my everything, thank you. I want to say for me.
I got to leave him with this, though.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I got to leave you with
I
this.
wasn't through with you. I
wanted
was going to give you something. I was going to give you some more floor, but go ahead.
No, but I got to leave you with the scripture.
Okay.
Scripture there, it's one of my favorite passages of scriptures.
Okay.
It's come from the book of Romans.
Okay.
The 12th chapter, verses 1 through 3. And it says, you read it at your own time.
Go ahead and tell them what it says.
It said, I beseech you, brethren, I urge you, brethren, I encourage you, brothers. I forgot what I said.
I can't. I can't.
I encourage you by the mercies of God that you present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is the least you can do.
Your reasonable service.
And be not conformed to this world. When I mean by being conformed to this world, I mean don't be conformed by the things in the past that held you back, the things that got your mind gripped and that's holding you. And be not conformed to those things. Don't believe those things. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to renew your mind day in, day out. Day in and day out. You can ask Stephen. Stephen is a man that has to renew his mind every day. He wake up every day with a defect. And he just said, you know what? I'm not going to let defect hold me back. He get up every morning.
Do what he has to
do. Do what he has to do. And that's the same thing for Crystal. It's something, everybody have something. Me day have his issues. He got to wake up with every day. But don't let those issues define you. Don't let those issues define who we are as individuals. We are much better and more than our past.
Wow. And y'all know why I love this man. For you to sit on this platform with me, to do this interview and be very candid with me and with our listeners, it's just wow. Yeah, thank you.
I got set up for this. I didn't know this was going to be an interview about me.
Well, it's not about you. It's about the work that God has called us to do. So thank you again to our listeners. As always, we hope that we have put some good content out there, and we love you. Goodbye. God bless you.